Imola, or to give it its full title, the International Autodrome of Enzo and Dino Ferrari. Enzo, one of the most evocative team creators in history, this place is named for their legacy, and it's a beautiful tribute. And like most Formula One tracks, Imola is driven anti-clockwise and offers our drivers today just over 3 miles of glistening wet tarmac to negotiate. It's made up of a roughly equal split of 9 right-hand turns and 10 left-hand. Watch the drivers on the way into turn 16. Managing their speed there will be crucial, with the rain only adding to the difficulty of that downhill braking section, which then, of course, leads them into the track's longest straight, though no DRS there today, of course. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Golden Boy lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, Hamilton, Russell, Perez, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Ocon, Stroll, Ricciardo, Albon, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Joe, Magnussen, Bottas and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. And so, we welcome you to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me for this race, and it's going to be some race, is Anthony Davidson. So they've got lots of team members to get to know, to win over, and to get working for them. How do you go about doing that?
You know, it's new for yourself when you arrive maybe into a new team, or you might be an established driver or a rookie. It doesn't matter. Getting to know a whole group of people, a team that works around you, it's vital to get the best out of each other. And in that return, your performance on track improves as well.
Okay, so let's go through all the gears if you can. We need to make sure the engagement is okay before the start. We're going to want to put some temperature into the tyres and brakes. We need to keep the engine cool though, so don't go too high with the revs. Okay, that's not an ideal placement in your grid slot. You're going to need a good launch at the race start. Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid is formed. Be ready with the clutch. Mind that front wing, it's going to need replacing if it takes too much damage. Okay, so that was a bad start, but don't overreact. We can salvage this. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving. Okay, the car behind is dropping back, we're seeing a gap starting to form. eye on that gap ahead, please. 1.6 seconds. Experience some understeer now that you're in the wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as soon as possible. Perfect situation, but I don't think we've got cause to move on to a different tyre yet. Great manoeuvre, you made it look so easy. Light rain will stay with us for at least 20 minutes, maybe more. Light rain is here to stay. Slowly gaining on the car in front, trying to keep up this momentum. Okay, so he's leading our teammate by 10.9 seconds. race so far. They might make a mistake. They got 2 seconds now. It's this lap then. Coming to the pits at the end of this lap. Second place, you're in second place. Lando ahead. They're on a fresh set of wets. Piastri's behind you now. They're on a fresh set of wets. The window doesn't open for more than 20 laps. Okay, mate, after that front wing damage, we've got to look after it now. Please protect the front wing. Come on. Gap to your teammate behind, 0.6 seconds. got to be sure that these tyres are quite fitting. It might be time to come in and change. That was the fastest lap of the race so far. A few teams seem to be putting intermediates on now. Come on, let's go and switch over if you need to. Right, let's have you in at the end of this lap, please. You only have to stop once now, one stop left. Okay, this is not your true position. They haven't pitted yet, so don't waste time fighting them. They're going to be coming in soon. Okay, this isn't your true position. They haven't pitted yet, so don't waste time fighting. Bring your tyres in gently and let's go for it. Okay, this isn't our true position. They haven't yet pitted and they're on a one-stopper. So don't waste time fighting because they should be coming in soon. So you know, we're getting some strange readings from a couple of the sensors, so I don't think you need to be worried, just some bad data, so keep doing what you're doing. I'll let you know if we notice any genuine problems. Okay, you're doing well out there. Keep it up. We're looking at about 10 more minutes of rain. 10 minutes. Yes, mate, we hit the target. Nice work. Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by, 0.2 seconds. Charles is in for his stop now. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 6.3 seconds. You're increasing the gap to the car behind by a few seconds per lap. Keep it up. Got a lot of spare energy, okay to use your overtake button. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up, well done. Happy that we're on the right tyres at the moment. That was the fastest lap of the race so far. Great work, that's a new fastest lap of the race. I don't think the line is really dry enough yet to start thinking about slicks. Let's hold on to the inters for a little while longer. Catching the car ahead by a couple of seconds a lap now, really good. A second a lap on the car behind. Really good stuff. No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving. track. That's P1. Norris behind. They've just entered the pits. Okay, they're on fresh hards, and that's 13 laps now until your pit window's open. All right, mate, that's 39 laps to go. Charles is in the pits. The pit box is currently full. Stay out on track. Stay out. Okay, we can't take you right now. Pit next lap. Next lap. The pit box is currently full. Stay out on track. Stay out. Go! Your late turning meant we had a slower than planned pit stop, I'm afraid. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. Okay, mate, we've got more fuel in hand than we need, so let's push and use it all up. Okay, I think the track's going to be drying out quite soon. Be careful you don't burn out your tyres. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. fastest lap of the race so far. Great work, that's a new fastest lap of the race. Okay, unlucky mate, that's a good try but we didn't quite meet our targets. Not to worry, get your head down and chin up and let's focus right the way into the checkered flag. No issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. Gap to your teammate behind, 47.0 seconds. job. That was the fastest lap of the race so far. about the tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good. Okay, mate, we've got some clear track around us now, so let's use it and make this next lap a quick one. Let's go. that target. Really good job. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. Tyre condition still looking good. Caution, caution. Green flag. tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving. You're in first position, front of the pack. Norris is behind you. You're separated by an entire lap. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. Okay, we're into the last 10 laps now. Yellow flag. Okay, clear. Pack, that's P1, Norris behind. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now, and that's 8 laps to go. tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them. Okay, this is your final lap of the race. Oh, superb driving. That is the race win, my friend. Well done.
They take the checkered flag then here in Imola, in what has been another outstanding Grand Prix.
And it's always good to get that momentum on your side, and it's really good for your confidence as well. The more confident you are, the further that can take you.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit, familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari, do it again. what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who's joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
unlucky, mate. That wasn't quite what we needed, but don't worry about it. Get your head down and chin up. There's a long way to go. Okay, mate, we didn't quite get what we needed there, but let's not worry about it. Get your head down now, chin up, and let's focus right until the check flag. Okay, mate, that still wasn't quite what we needed, I'm afraid. Look, let's move on. Get your head down and chin up, focus till the end of the race. Okay, that wasn't quite what we needed there, right? But listen, not to worry. Get your head down and chin up, and let's focus for the rest of this race. We didn't quite get what we needed out of that race, but don't worry about it. There's a long way to go. Chin up, and let's focus till the end. That wasn't quite what we needed, I'm afraid, but listen, don't worry about it. There's a long way to go, so let's just focus till the end.
Wow! Wow! Final lap in Imola! Come on yan! Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Endino Ferrari! Even with stricken guard, we are in control! Will it be 7 out of 7 for car number 7? This is where Michael Schumacher claimed the most wins. 8 until beaten by Hamilton this year. Aqua Minerale. Come on, Jan, come on. The chicane, we are mega here. And La Rivazza. Gotta be very soft on the brakes. Final corner, guys. Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Endino Ferrari. Woohoo! That's it, baby. That's it. Come on. Come on. What a great victory. We've got Imola finally. Wow. What a great win. That's it. Go Jan Svalikson champion. You are perfect in 2024. Come on. Yes. The home victory that avoided us. Now it's a double home victory, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. God Luksa. We got it. Even with, bit of a front wing missing. We got it. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Let's celebrate.
Looking at the podium, you can see
Yes.
the red suit for millions of fans.
I look so great, right? Now we will see. We will see. The Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Endino Ferrari. This is our home track. And of course, to win here. Yes, we've never won here. The circuit return. Yay! Come on! Let's go, boys. At home. Let's celebrate. Champagne. Who is leading championship? Let's go, Jan. What I mean? Go. We got it. This is it, guys. Yes. 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 The game saved. We had to actually do double this race. It's saved. We back in business. Come on. It was 24 hours, of real torture because I wasn't sure if I was gonna, win. But no, back this time. Of course. Come on, Jan. So yeah, I'm so happy. I had to do this race twice. I didn't want to tell you I was celebrating, but yeah, the first race, obviously we dropped to the back, but we worked it out. Came, out first, as Norris and Verstappen were fighting. Here at the start, I got a poor start. Almost spun second, third gear. I couldn't get the power down. So I got overtaken. Norris, we touched a little bit, so I lost the front wing there, and lost the front wing, lost a part of it, right? So, I just kept on it, because I was like, I'm not gonna go to the back again. I know how challenging it is, and yeah, it was okay. I was able after 3 or 5 laps, to really kneel them in. I'm so relieved the game saved, guys. Yeah, and then, basically, I took them, step by step. Took after about lap 10, 11, 12, to overtake Norris. Then we switched to the intermediates, but McLaren's didn't, so I had to catch them. I was catching them even by 4 or 5 seconds alive, and yeah, that was it. And they switched obviously to the hards, I switched to the mediums. Obviously I've done 2 races, so I knew and even from practice I knew the medium was so great, and yeah, it was indeed. And yeah, I made it to the finish, won by almost 10 seconds. Great fastest lap. Who's the winner? Most important, it's saved. My God, the game obviously did not save, right? So I had to redo the whole race, so thankfully now I saved it with 1 lap to go, and yeah, it's done guys. We are back in business, and it's 7 out of 7. Yeah, this would be actually the 9th Grand Prix victory in a row. Well, it's 8, but if you count double Imola, right? So now we will go to Monaco, and in Monaco, that will be a real test. If we can win there, I think we can win easily at any track, and yeah, become a perfect world champion. Let's go, yeah! Forza Ferrari! What a great victory at Autodromo Internazionale Enzo and Ferrari! Hello everybody and welcome here to the home of Jan, the Smiling Sun champion and Ferrari's biggest fan and Ferrari's fastest driver, as we are celebrating our first ever win at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo and Ferrari, the home obviously of what used to be the San Marino Grand Prix, now is the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, or really the Imola Grand Prix, or shall we say the Ferrari Grand Prix. Oh yay! Look at that fest, as I will be collecting obviously that coveted trophy from the podium over there, as I won also the round 7 of the 2024 FIA Formula 1 World Championship. Guys, this is amazing. That's actually 8 Grand Prix victory on a trot, even though with that sprint, hard to count it as obviously successive wins, but hey, we will be heading to Monaco, to go and equal Alberto Ascari and Sebastian Vettel with 9 wins, on the trot. So, it doesn't get any tougher than that, but I'm so happy we've gotten over this challenge, because obviously you've seen the final moments and they were very, very tense. Not so much that I was leading by about 10 seconds from Norris, but it was so many hiccups, right, in Imola. So it's quite incredible. I've actually done the race twice, can you believe it? And yeah, basically the game kind of didn't save, so it just got stuck in that saving screen, right after the podium. So, I had to, redo it again. Very, very similar conditions, but, I delivered very, very similar performance. But, it wasn't a smooth race, but I'm so happy that we were able, to time the pit stops to the perfection. We were able to show that no matter if it's, raining very heavily or just raining a little bit, or you have interchangeable conditions, or that it's nice, dry and sunny, that we are the fastest drivers, of course, driving Scuderia Ferrari over here. And this victory, really gives us lots of confidence, going forwards, because most of the races so far this season have been dry. We did well in Japan, on the intermediates, as you well know, but obviously we haven't really been on a full wets, and in Imola we've been, but of course, maybe thankfully not for the whole race, but actually, we did have a great pace already, last year, to be honest, and this year here at Imola, once again facing that heavy rain. We were so good, so we are so excited as we will be lifting that Formula 1 Grand Prix winner trophy and celebrating here in front of all the tifosi, of course, because this is our home Grand Prix, so that pretty much ensures that every time I race for Scuderia Ferrari, like this year with this beautiful SM1000 T818 Formula 1 racing simulator, that I always made it onto the top step on the podium. Of course, I'm unbeaten in Monza, so we could make it 2 out of 2. It's absolutely amazing. Monza obviously coming in 9 races. It would be great if we still kept winning, but yeah, I'm just over the moon to win the 7th Grand Prix of the season. I mean, if you think about when I've been winning the championships, I've won it pretty much with 9, I believe 10, 13 wins, so we are really getting close there. And in this race reaction, obviously we will tell you everything about the race. You've seen that final lap, you've seen the pure emotion as well, and we will then take a look after on the podium celebration, and of course how the driver standing looks like, how the constructor standing looks like. That will come after the race highlights, which I'm sure you guys are really wanting to see. And yeah, we will then take a look also at our driver's rating. And yeah, I'm just so happy that in the month of May over here I'm winning all of these city Grand Prix, so to speak. A great victory obviously in Miami last time out, both for both the sprint started in a Grand Prix, now in Imola, and we are going to go to Monaco. So, you know, we might be wondering why, you know, EMI obviously, you know, we're here raising the fist and being so happy. That's because, you know, the race we obviously qualified first. You know, as you've seen in the qualifying, we had plenty of pace, and you know, when the race started, obviously we had to redo it because again, you know, that is very disappointing. What happened in Imola, I guess, is a kind of the botched Grand Prix, you know, this year, which is really sad because it's really the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari. So it is the real proper home Scuderia Ferrari track. And as you do know, when I finished the race, the game did the same, so I did it again. So this is actually the second trial, and you know, I did know that it was gonna be really difficult, you know, to get off the mark, right? Especially in those in that heavy rain with the extreme wet tires, the blue tires, right? So I've pretty much been told, look, if it keeps on raining, the best strategy for you wouldn't be just to keep the tires on, because you actually can do that, go without any stop, but it will actually stop at a mid-race because it's simply faster. It's a little bit faster than the two-stop as well, but everything would depend on the conditions. And you know, when I came and you know, wanted to get away, the getaway was so slow, you know, I was really worried. It was hard to get to the third gear, right? You know, that first, second gear, there was hardly any pull away. You know, you do know on this straight in Imola here, you start a little bit, you know, to the right? So that obviously that doesn't give you the perfect traction as well. And yeah, it did turn out to be the case when the 5 red lights went on, but obviously all the tifosi, you know, cheering me, yeah, the Swelling Sun champion, to go for it. You know, I did struggle, you know, to get up the speed, and you know, Norris pretty much got me when I was out about the 5th, 6th gear, and then I just engaged, you know, all of the battery, because you have 100% of it, you know, at the start. And I was like, okay, I will just simply take the inside, because Norris did a good job to, you know, cover me off, but then obviously he had to go to the right because that's the racing line. So I just opted to stay to the left, but he braked too early, and you know, we touched, and actually the whole race, you know, then I was missing the front right end plate on my front wing, and as a result, we definitely lost some downforce. You know, I had to, you know, take the escape road as we were going to the Senna Esses, obviously the former Tamburello corner. And, you know, yeah, when, you know, I cut across, obviously, the gravel, a bit of a grass, you know, I came out, I made sure I didn't spin, like, for example, last year, right? Because I have never won in Imola before, because obviously when I was racing, the Imola wasn't on a calendar. It only joined a couple of years ago. So, you know, as a result, when that happened, what I did was very simple, right? So, you know, I just took it easy, you know, slotted into the 4th place behind Verstappen, who almost had a crash, you know, and then I was able to fend off Hamilton, obviously, who was really pushing very hard, our future Ferrari teammate, of course, and, you know, especially going, you know, out of the hairpin, but I did have plenty of battery, you know, I kept the racing line, so I never fell, you know, to the 5th place. I was at 4th place, and it took a couple of laps to warm up the tires, but once I knew, you know, which lines and everything to take and what work, I started setting fastest lap times, and I quickly called Verstappen, nicely got him into Rivalsa with a well, you know, executed, well measured, you know, maneuver. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it, especially if you are Ferrari fans. And then, you know, we did, you know, kind of show Piastri, you know, who's the boss as well. And then we were chasing Norris, right? And, you know, we were able to overtake Norris, you know, as well, obviously, you know, heading down then into the turn 1, you know, we did a good job, you know, this time keeping the inside, you know, keeping him away, because, you know, the fact that he could have cost us, you know, much more than just that front wing end plate, you know, that was very dangerous. I'm so happy that then I was, you know, first, and very quickly I started to establish the gap, right? But, you know, I overtook Norris only at the end of lap 13, so you can see it took a long time till the Scuderia Ferrari was, of course, leading, and that was me. And then, you know, once I was leading, you know, I realized that, you know, the wet tires, the blue extreme wets were simply, you know, not really, you know, suitable anymore, right? So we decided, you know, to switch to the intermediates. Also, my engineer recommended it, you know, so I dived into the pits. Most of the drivers did, but the McLarens didn't. So we then came out about 20 seconds behind, but we were catching them like super quickly, right? So that was a great thing. You will also see in the highlights how easily I overtook Norris to Acqua Minerale, but before I was able to overtake him into Acqua Minerale, obviously, you know, had to catch, you know, Piastri, you know, made easy work out of him, because, you know, they would just be, you know, too slow, you know, out of lots of the turns on the extreme wets, but they were simply waiting for the dry line to appear and then switch to the dries immediately, because then that would pretty much make it a one stop, right? So here you would lose over 20 seconds, but when you are at least 3 seconds, even 4 or 5 seconds quicker, it makes no sense. So very strange strategy, I have to say, from the McLarens. Definitely because Piastri, you can see he finished almost a minute behind, but it kind of did work surprisingly for Norris, because he kept in there. And when I overtook him into Aqua Minerale, I was going behind him, he was going slow, and then suddenly, he simply had a massive, understeer, and I was like, wow, you just letting me go. And from then, I never looked back, because immediately, by the time I've gotten into Rivalza, I was 2 seconds ahead of him. So you can see, it was very important to be on the right side of the tires, right? With the intermediates, I felt at home, kept pushing it. Then once the DRS, was enabled, we did have quite a lot of laps, still to go, but it was again, close to lap 30. So I decided, okay, let's, put on the fresh set of medium tires, and it was good because the tire degradation, wasn't anything severe. Even by the time we got to lap 50, 51, we still had, only 20% of the tire gone. So actually, the tire was still in a good condition, and we were able to push, and we were able, to easily control the race from Norris and Verstappen. But yeah, it did work. I have to say, for Norris, that strategy, because obviously when he switched, he was roughly close to 5 to 10 seconds behind me, and again when I came out of the pits, for example, I only had a couple of seconds. So I was a little bit surprised about it, right? Why exactly that happened, right? And so on. So yeah, sometimes we have to also work on the pits, because I think we took a lot of the margin, because we did know we've gotten a penalty, of course, last time out, because once you're coming out of the Rivalza, you will be just accelerating, and it's really difficult to break that breaking point. But yeah, we lost a bit of a time there, but basically from then on, great, perfect, well-measured driving. And I just took the beautiful Scarlet Ferrari here to the checkered flag, even though obviously the car was hurt, even though again we were missing, for example, as I said, part of the front wing. But I really wanted to win here. Finally, this is my first time winning here. Oh yay! And I have to say, the thing we could improve is, I put in almost one lap worth of fuel, but we finished with almost 2.2, 2.3, 2.21 to be precise. So definitely we could have underfueled the car. That would make us even quicker. But yeah, again, I'm pretty sure we could have won by half a minute or more if, we didn't screw it up at the start. But you can see, how difficult the start can be. But then it took only 1/5 of the race to recover it. And, it's such a great feeling, because obviously this is the track where my childhood hero Michael Schumacher was dominating. I was really sad when there were some gremlins with the game, but finally I'm happy that on the second time of asking, everything worked just fine. And yeah, we were able to make it to the checkered flag in order to celebrate, and in order to record our amazing 7th Grand Prix victory. Out of the 7th Grand Prix, it's only the Miami Sprint, obviously, that we haven't won, so we are very, very sad about that. But then again, it's pretty much a perfect season. We always think the fastest lap time, and the fastest lap time is really the key over here to always make sure that you can win. So over here, let's now take a look at the race highlights, shall we? Because again, from here you can clearly see just how well the race highlights went. Okay, so let me see over here. Okay, so a little bit yeah, difficult to get it, but now yeah, okay, this should be the race highlights, guys. So let's take a look at them. Okay, and yeah, they did a pretty decent job, I would say, showing you over here what happened during the race, because during the race, like you can see, the conditions were so treacherous, right? So over here, let's take a look at it. Again, only me and Verstappen were the only guys who set the fastest time in less than 80 seconds, and this is how it started, right? So, you're looking forward to the day, you think it will be a beautiful, blue sky, right? Like me, yeah, the small time champion, and it's raining a lot. Look how much I was struggling to just get off the line. It was just so difficult. Yeah, and the McLarens were all over me, it was really challenging, and here I tried to go, but there I lost that end plate, you see it? And my God, right, me coming over here, over the gravel, so you can see, I really had to fight very, very hard for the position here. So these exclusive highlights, are really good at highlighting it. Of course, I wasn't sure, right, if the car was gonna, hold on or not. And yeah, as a result, I did lose immediately, like a second to Verstappen, you can see. But I could feel that there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the car. But look at Hamilton, look at our fight. Come on, yeah, come on. Yeah, so over here we were fighting very, very hard, and obviously, going here up the hill, I got him, and then took a couple of laps once the tires warm up. Look how I got Verstappen here into Rivalta. So obviously I was right, on his gearbox, heading out of the chicane, and I knew, okay, let's, make a move, right? Let's not get stuck behind him any longer. I engaged the battery actually, and then just, moved out and just went through the gears with a basic and clean move. Yes, that was a surprise, and you can see still missing that end plate. And here, this is how we've got the Norris. Again, excuse that commentary here from my race engineer, because yeah, there are some gremlins here at Imola, definitely. And you can see, so I was right behind Norris, right? And basically over here, I did know this was a great opportunity, but it's difficult. That straight is not straight, as you guys know. So it was important. I went right then to his left. Come on, Jan, come on! Yeah, this is it. And Ferrari is now leading Imola Grand Prix. Wow! Look at these, eyes. The eyes of the champion. Yes. Yeah, and then, lap 23 after we switch, so you can see him, Norris, on the extreme wets, really struggling over here, going up obviously the hill, and I'm right behind him, so different tires, obviously mine, 16 laps younger. As a result, this is Aqua Minerali, one of the corners I always, kind of poetically talk about it here. Despite a missing significant portion of the wing, we got at him and control the race thereafter. Yeah, so a great victory, which now means so this is what it means for the Constructors Championship, so and for the Drivers Championship. So here in the Drivers Championship, so you can immediately see that I am leading, of course, maintaining that lead very well over there with 192 points. Okay, as we can, okay, we're struggling here a little bit. Okay, with that, so yeah, the gremlins are back. So here you can see Luksa obviously leading with 192 points. We have 80 points gap to Lando Norris, McLaren, who still finished second. He has 112 points. He's now 3 points clear of Max Verstappen, who is on 109 points. What that means is, because as you can see, the next race is obviously, being in Monaco, and obviously, then heading into Canada and Barcelona. It means that because they are not the sprint races for sure, there are only 78 points on offer in the next 3 races. So we will be leading the Drivers' Championship even after obviously Barcelona, where we have driven the real race Ferrari car, the Ferrari Spider F488. 4 is Charles Leclerc, Scuderia Ferrari, 76 points, the reigning champion obviously in-game. 5th, Oscar Piastri, McLaren, 62.6. Is then George Russell, Mercedes AMG Petronas, 59 points. Fernando Alonso is 7 for Aston Martin, 55 points. 8, Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes AMG Petronas, 49 points. Sergio Perez, Red Bull, 41 points. 9, 10, Alexander Albon, Williams, 8 points. Obviously, there is a bit of a fight going over that 10th place, right? Who would be classified in the top 10. Here is then the Constructors Championship that you can see over here. So we as Scuderia Ferrari obviously have consolidated 7th in the lead. We are leading with 268 points. For sure, after Canada we will be leading, because again there will be 86 points on offer. We are 94 points ahead of second McLaren, 174 points. Third, Red Bull, 150 points. We are really marching towards the Constructors Championship, and it's so beautiful, obviously, to get such a great result at home. For Mercedes AMG Petronas, 108 points. 5th, Aston Martin, 62 points. 6th is Alpine with 11 points. 7 is then Williams, 8 points. 8, Visa Cash RB, 4 points. 9, Kick Sauber, 1 point. 10 has still point less. So now all the standings, and it means it is time to celebrate. So let's celebrate, you guys, over here. Okay, so we will push us over here. Okay, as we can now enjoy right up from the Imola to the checkered flag. Yeah, we got it. Come on, Jan. Come on. This is the first victory in Imola. from International Enzo e Dino Ferrari. Wow, wow, wow. We've got it. Let's go, Jan. I'm so happy, that I survived, especially here. That could have been, the end of my race at the beginning. But yeah, everybody, all boys and girls, matching fashion. It doesn't get any better. Just like 20 years ago with Michael Schumacher. Jan is back. Wow. Come on. Wow, look at that emotion. So much emotion. Of course, there is so much emotion. Because this is Imola, isn't it? Let's go, boys. Let's go. Let's go, Forza Ferrari! And yes, over here, it is time to get obviously the medal for the winning driver over here. Yes, this is it. And now we will be collecting our Grand Prix with a trophy. Oh yeah! Go on! Forza Ferrari! Wow! This is it. It doesn't feel any better. La 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 Forza Ferrari. La 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 Forza Ferrari. Racing Formula 1 in Ferrari car is the best thing. Yes. La 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 la. And over here, this was scary, right? But here we survived it. And yes, we are the winner here in Imola, and we are so super happy about it, guys. This is exactly what we were looking for, right? So yeah, puts us over here at the top of the standings. It absolutely, of course, looks brilliant over here. And if we can take a look, what does that mean for our ratings? So yeah, you can see that for experience, I moved to 61, obviously. Over here, racing a bit more, or rather stay there. Racecraft at 69, despite obviously having few comings together, but I did a great job overtaking us. I was chasing this beautiful shiny golden Formula 1 Grand Prix winner trophy. For the awareness, it goes up to 68. I'm really happy about it. For example, one of the objectives I've been given during the race was to make sure I don't damage the wing any further, the front wing that is, and I achieved that. Pace at 73 and focus 66, obviously winning at home is super important. And yeah, I'm just super happy that we made it, because this was definitely one of the races that I wanted to win, and I'm so happy, that the first 7 races featured 3 races that I haven't won before: Saudi Arabia, and yeah, obviously Miami, and now Imola. Obviously Monaco is coming up next, and it is important. I would really love to win at least once everywhere, especially once my Ferrari Formula 1 career is over, because I think that's a wonderful record to have, and we made a giant step forward towards that. So yeah, it looks absolutely amazing, doesn't it? I hope you guys enjoyed the race. There are 2 actually Imola races, won both of them actually in a very similar fashion. So we've gotten plenty of practice at this track. We know what makes it tick, and yeah, I'm just over the moon. I'm so happy to make all the Tifosi proud. It was my pleasure to race in this beautiful Scuderia Red Ferrari car, and I cannot wait to see what this record-breaking Olympic 2024 season will bring. I'm again so excited about it. I'm sure so you are. And now, you guys, it's time to celebrate. That's right. Forza Ferrari. Let's go, Jan Smalik's champion. The winner of the San Marino Grand Prix. Or is it Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix? Or is it the Imola Grand Prix? It's definitely Ferrari Grand Prix. Oh yeah. Forza Ferrari.